The financial health of many U.S. states is facing significant challenges as we approach 2025. Economic mismanagement, rising debt, and growing deficits have left several states in deep financial distress. Today, we'll look at the 10 U.S. states struggling the most and analyzing the root causes and the severity of their economic crises. 10. Vermont, a state with hidden financial struggles. Vermont, known for its scenic beauty and rich traditions, is grappling with serious fiscal issues. The state has seen budget deficits, ballooning healthcare costs, and an underfunded public health system. Former Governor Howard Dean raised alarms about Vermont's financial problems, noting the state's mounting debt. Vermont's hospitals face a dire situation, needing over $3 billion in subsidies in the next 5 years to stay afloat. In addition, Vermont carries a taxpayer burden of $10,900, which is high given the state's population size. With a growing debt, Vermont's financial future is uncertain without immediate reforms. 9. Kentucky, struggling with budget deficits. Kentucky, famous for bourbon, horse racing, and bluegrass, is facing significant economic challenges. The state has a $13,200 taxpayer burden, which puts it among the most financially troubled states. Kentucky has a $19.5 billion budget gap, with liabilities growing faster than assets. The state relies heavily on coal and energy industries, making it vulnerable to market fluctuations. In addition, Kentucky's educational system and healthcare infrastructure are underfunded, exacerbating the state's fiscal crisis. 8. Louisiana, a state in financial crisis. Louisiana's financial woes are rooted in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, volatile oil prices, and an overdependence on energy revenue. While Louisiana's cost of living is lower than the national average, it faces significant challenges due to widespread poverty and underemployment. The state's taxpayer burden stands at $13,400, and Louisiana is dealing with a budget deficit that is limiting its ability to fund essential services. Without a shift in its economic structure, Louisiana's financial outlook remains bleak, with high debt and insufficient infrastructure investment. If you watch this video, please like, subscribe, and also don't forget to press on the bell icon. 7. Delaware, a corporate haven with rising debt. Delaware, known for its favorable corporate tax laws, is grappling with rising debt despite its business-friendly image. The state has a taxpayer burden of $15,400 and carries $14 billion in liabilities. With only $7.8 billion in assets, the state expanded its budget during the pandemic with federal funds, but as those funds dried up, Delaware now faces the challenge of sustaining these programs without additional revenue. While the state benefits from corporate taxes, they have not been enough to cover growing liabilities, creating a significant fiscal gap. 6. Hawaii, paradise in financial trouble. Hawaii, often seen as a paradise, is facing a financial crisis, largely driven by high living costs and an over-reliance on tourism. Hawaii has a taxpayer burden of $16,500, and its growing debt exceeds $8.9 billion. The state's economy is heavily dependent on tourism, which is vulnerable to natural disasters and, global crises. In addition, Hawaii's geographical isolation increases the cost of living, with residents spending nearly 45% more on basic expenses than the national average. Hawaii's inability to diversify its economy further has left it struggling to maintain its fiscal health. 5. California, a golden state in financial crisis. California, known for its technology-driven economy and cultural influence, faces a severe financial crisis. The state has a taxpayer burden of $167,400, the highest in the nation. Its total liabilities exceed $535 billion, creating an unsustainable fiscal situation. California's high cost of living, especially in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, is a significant contributor to its financial instability. Additionally, the state's pension liabilities, which total over $250 billion, add to its mounting debt. While the state's economy is diverse, its reliance on high taxes and industries such as technology has not been enough to stave off financial difficulties. Or Massachusetts, a state with mounting debt. Massachusetts is home to some of the nation's top universities and a thriving healthcare system, but the state is struggling with rising debt and budget deficits. Massachusetts has a taxpayer burden of $225,400 and is facing a $74 billion deficit. The state's pension obligations, which are among the highest in the nation, continue to climb. So their financial situation is further complicated by rising healthcare and infrastructure costs, making it difficult for the state to balance its budget. Without significant fiscal reforms, Massachusetts faces a challenging road ahead. 3. New York, the Empire State under pressure. New York, often considered the economic engine of the U.S., is in financial turmoil. The state has a taxpayer burden of $47,000 and carries over $100 billion in pension liabilities. Rising costs in public services, particularly in education and healthcare, have exacerbated the state's financial problems. High taxes and an over-reliance on Wall Street revenue have made the state's budget vulnerable to market fluctuations. New York's financial issues are compounded by a growing homeless crisis, with the state needing to allocate more funds to social programs and services. 2. Illinois, a state with serious debt. Illinois has long struggled with budget deficits and pension liabilities, and the situation has worsened in recent years. The state has a taxpayer burden of nearly $53,000 and owes over $150 billion in debt. The state's pension crisis is particularly severe, with more than $140 billion in unfunded pension liabilities. These obligations, combined with other structural budget deficits, have left Illinois in a precarious financial position. Unless the state takes drastic measures to address its pension system and spending habits, it will continue to face financial instability. 1. New Jersey, a state in financial ruin. New Jersey, often known for its beaches and proximity to New York City, is in deep financial distress. The state has the highest taxpayer burden in the country at $55,000 per resident. New Jersey's pension system is massively underfunded, with over $150 billion in unfunded liabilities. These obligations, along with rising healthcare and education costs, have pushed the state to the brink of financial collapse. High property taxes and an over-reliance on state aid are further contributing to the state's financial instability. Unless comprehensive reforms are made, New Jersey's economic future is uncertain. As we move into 2025, these 10 states are facing deep financial crises. From rising debts and deficits to unsustainable pension systems and high living costs, these states must take immediate action to avoid further financial deterioration. Without significant reforms and better fiscal management, the future looks uncertain for these states and their residents.